Hello, everyone. This is Eli Beauchamp with Immigration, the Colombia Factor. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like, and share the video. On the previous episode, we talked about the true story of three sisters and a cousin from Colombia. Today, I would like to take you to a behind the scenes as to what it is like to live in a third world country. You will hear a first-hand account as to what that is like. Now, millions of illegal immigrants flock to developed countries or first world countries all over the world. America is not the only place. They also go to Europe, Canada, etc. The reason they say they go is for political asylum or to provide a better life for their families. That's also what Democrats tell us. That's what liberals tell us. That's what the left tells us. Don't forget, I'm a registered Democrat. That's what my party tells us. But not only that, that's also what we tell ourselves. It makes us feel neighborly. It makes us feel like we care, like we're good people. But at the end of the day, have we asked ourselves, do they really need to come to the U.S. or to migrate to any other first world country to have a better life? Well, that's what we're going to dive into right now. As you might know by now, I lived for almost 15 years in a third world country, Colombia. People ask me all the time, how was it living in Colombia? Well, you might be surprised. It was amazing. They have good music, good food, and a great culture. I love their country. I love their people. Most of their people are good, but the ones that are bad, they are really or extremely bad. Again, I want you to make a mental note to that because we're going to be discussing that in the next episodes. Again, the ones that are bad, they are evil. They might be some of the worst human beings on our planet. That being said, again, most of them are great people. My wife is Colombian. My children are half Colombian. And I have plenty of friends and acquaintances in Colombia that are great people. Now, how was it? You might be surprised that countries like Colombia, Mexico, Central American countries, and all other countries around the world, they have lower wages than the U.S. But at the same time, their cost of living is also less than that of ours. Just to give you an idea, $10 might get you organic fruits and vegetables for the whole week in all these countries. In Colombia, to rent an apartment, you might get a 2-bedroom apartment for $100 to $300 a month. So again, they have lower wages, but at the same time, the cost of living is lower. Now, their culture is also different. They don't like going into 30-year fixed mortgage like we do. They usually own their place. And if they're going to buy a place, it might be between 10 and 15 years. And they got to put down about 30% of the cost of that. So they don't indebt themselves the way Americans do. Their health system is a lot cheaper than ours. And we'll go into more of that detail in a little bit. Their educational system is lower than ours. So, for example, if you need to buy health insurance for a family of 4, it might cost you between $30 and $50 for the best health insurance the country has to offer. That is you paying for it, not your boss helping you pay it off. You're paying yourself out of pocket, but it's only $30 to $50. Compared that to health insurance in our country. Dental work for a family of 4 might be $100 to $200, depending on what you're getting done for the whole year, for the whole family. Also, education. A 4-year bachelor's degree might cost you about $4,000, maybe less in a private university, if you're able to afford it. Now, the thing is, some people are not able to afford it. So how do they get ahead? Maybe migrating to the U.S. and working our farms and our construction jobs might be the only way for them to survive. Actually not. That is completely wrong. They can survive by working in their own country. They can survive by staying in their communities and by making their country great again. For example, if you cannot afford to buy a health program or health insurance, the state will pay for it. Again, in third world countries, Mexico, Colombia, all of them. If you cannot afford it, the state pays for it. So my wife's uncle years ago got a pacemaker implanted into his heart, and it cost him $1. That is right, $1. The state paid for the rest. Now, how do you get an education? Well, the state will pay for it. The educational system is totally free if you cannot afford it. Again, your health system and your educational system is totally free for people that cannot afford it. So all they need to want to do is to work hard and to get ahead and to make their countries great again. There's no reason for any illegal immigrant from any country in the world to migrate to the U.S. That's including political asylum. Why political asylum? Yes, because they have lost their will to fight. See, in countries like Venezuela, for example, they had a leader that fought for their independence hundreds of years ago, Simón Bolívar. He had the will to fight. He had the will to fight for their freedom and liberty. But the Venezuelan people, they have lost the will to fight. And you don't need weapons to fight. There's many ways to fight. Obviously, this video would get banned if I give you the ideas as to how to start a revolution. But you can start a revolution with almost anything. You don't need tanks. You don't need missiles. You just got to have the will to fight for your own country, to remove the government that they themselves allowed to get into power. And now, instead of staying in their country and fighting for their freedom, they're coming to the U.S. They're all criminals because they are all migrating into our country illegally. When I moved to Colombia, I had to pay for my way. I had to get a green card. And every so often, I had to renew that visa to be able to live there. So other countries have borders, but the U.S. is not allowed to have its border. Again, only the U.S. is not entitled to have a border, according to the left, to liberals, to Democrats. Again, I think most Americans have a great heart. I mean, we have dedicated ourselves to building the world in our image for decades, possibly for longer than 70 years. Our tax money is going to foreign wars. It's going to countries like Colombia, where the president is part of the narco trafficking groups. Again, the president of Colombia right now, the socialist Gustavo Petro, president of Colombia, was elected by the drug cartels. And he's always encouraging the growth of coke plants and marijuana. So why are we giving our money to Colombia? Why does our money have to keep on going? Our taxes, the taxes of American people. And then they come here and we're not supposed to send them back. And they're saying that it would be crazy to have the army. Well, let me tell you one thing. Visit other countries and you will realize that their army walks the streets. That is the reality. Again, other countries, their army, they walk the streets. They keep people safe in their country. But if we talk about the army going on American streets, that's controversial. That's not a good sight. We're just supposed to lay down and take it. Right now, there's a caravan of illegal immigrants on their way to our southern border, trying to cross over before President-elect Trump takes office in January 20th. It's time to send them all back. It's time to get them out. There's no reason for them to be here. There's no reason for them to migrate to the U.S. Not political asylum, not a better way of life. they can make a better way of life in their own country. And if they don't have freedom, if they don't have any liberty, then they need to fight for it. Because I can guarantee you one thing, we would fight for it. So it's about time they also get a fighting spirit and fight for their future. Because Americans, we should be focused in fighting for our future. We have homeless. We have people that go to bed at night without food. Our veterans are on the streets. But our money is going to illegal immigrants. It's time to stop. Enough is enough.